Good afternoon. Welcome to another deltaDNA webinar. Today we're going to be covering release 33, the platform update that we released yesterday morning. And the main focus of the new features in this release was predominantly around some quality of life improvements around about the campaign management screens. So let's just dive straight in and I'll let you take a look at some of the things we've been up to. So if I go in, let's start off in the decision point campaign system. And what you'll see is we've made some improvements in and around the UI. The first thing I'm going to point out to you is that you can now actually perform actions on multiple campaigns at the same time. So now what you can do is actually multi-select campaigns. Let's just pick a couple and we can now pause, start, delete, or tag them multiple ones at a time. What we can also do, the next thing I'll show you that's quite interesting, you can archive campaigns as well. So if you have, and this is particularly useful if you have very long lists of campaigns. We certainly see some games where they have a lot of campaigns, not necessarily all active. Sometimes we find customers may have a fear of deleting old campaigns, even if they're no longer running, because they might want to, at some point in the future, recreate a similar campaign with the same kind of logic. So what you can do now, if you find this list is getting a bit long, you can actually archive campaigns away. So let's just show you an example of that. I've got a toggle switch up here at the top that will show me any archived campaigns, and I can bring archived campaigns back again. I can select them and choose to unarchive them, have them come back into the main list. And what I can do is, of course, I can multi-select things. So let's take all those mission campaigns that aren't running, and I can choose if I want to just hit the archive button up here. That'll take them out of this list, and to see them, I now need to go across to the archive list, and they'll appear in here. You can, of course, do this with filters as well. So let's just bring these back again. Bring them back. Go across to normal list. So one of the other things we've been doing in this release is we've made a few changes and improvements to the filtering list. So you've now got and or behaviors on your filters. If you don't know how to get them, this sidebar here will pop out your filter list. You can filter by tags, so you can add tags manually to campaigns with the tag manager in here. But you can also filter based on, when it's decision point campaigns, you can filter based on their decision points, or you can filter in properties like whether campaigns are running or paused, etc. So let's just pick up all the ones that we've tagged as being these mission ones, and what we can now do is just set all of those and say let's archive them away, let's hide them. So this will give you a lot more control over your campaign list page, especially when you've got a lot of campaigns. It'll allow you to start cleaning it up a lot and hiding inactive campaigns. Something else to draw your attention to that's a very useful feature. If you ever see this little star against any campaigns, take that as definitely take notice of it. What that little star is indicating is that something about this campaign has been changed, but the change hasn't yet been published and pushed to live. So you're likely to see this if you do things that maybe make changes to the end date of a campaign, or you change the content on an image message. If you change the image content, you might make those changes and think that is now going to show up in customer devices. If you see this star, it means you haven't quite completed your change, and what you need to do is go in and edit the campaign. There's going to be a warning here that says this campaign, your latest changes haven't been finalized yet. So if you go across the confirmation page, there's another warning there, and basically you need to hit this update button, and what that does is it takes the changes you've been making to the campaign, then compiles them and pushes them out to the live the live campaign engine. So just that's another little tweak that we've made in this release, because that wasn't always entirely obvious in some cases. So I think that's the big ones. The other things you're going to see, so the big ones are mainly the improvements to the filters, the archival tool, the fact you can now multi-select campaigns and perform actions simultaneously. The other thing you'll see is there used to be a little bit of inconsistency between the different campaign interfaces. So now you'll see that the things I've just shown you are present on all three of the campaign interfaces: decision point campaigns, event trigger campaigns, and also the out of game campaigns page. So you've got this exactly the same controls on each of those. Other things we've been doing, some of it might not be quite as obvious. There's been other improvements in and around the campaign pages to do with the pagination. When you've got a lot of campaigns, we've made some improvements around about there. We've also done some stuff that will improve the performance. So again, particularly for games where you have a lot of active campaigns, you should see a lot better performance on this page now. And there's been some other improvements on the ordering of stuff. And oh yeah, here's a good one. Let me just remembered. Another thing that we were asked for that we've put in this time round, what you would find, these IDs that appear at the top of the page when you're working a campaign are a bit obscure because they don't actually appear in your data. However, there is an ID that is very useful in your data if you're doing reporting on campaigns. We now expose that ID in the UI. So you'll find for your decision point campaigns, you can actually see the ID of the campaign now, and that's really useful. A couple of other bug fixes and things that have been happening around and about the place as well. There were some improvements on the image message actions on the buttons on those, and some other bug fixes around and about the place. Other things, I don't know if you've noticed, we're now doing our releases much earlier in the morning, so as to minimize any impact that any impact to anybody trying to use the platform as we're doing the release. Typically the releases, there's only usually 4, 5, 10 minutes of platform unavailability, but we've now shifted that sufficiently early in the morning that nobody should really be getting hit with it. And we're putting a lot of effort into moving towards a continuous integration system. So what you will see moving forward is far more frequent releases with less downtime, so the ability to seamlessly release updates at a far more frequent cadence. So that's the kind of main things. And I guess the kind of theme that you'll be seeing, a lot of this stuff was quality of life improvements, particularly around the campaign UIs. And that's building upon some of the work we released last time round. Last time we released a bunch of cloning tools on the decision point campaign, so you could clone campaigns from your development to your live environment. We're closely monitoring what you're doing with those cloning tools and how you're getting on with them, and we will be rolling out those tools, kind of finalizing them and rolling them out to the other campaign types in due course as well. So I think that's really kind of the main thrust. It's quite a short video this time round, but the main thrust of everything is really been around about some of those campaign UI improvements. And we've got some more improvements coming on that. There's some more things we're working on. So keep your eyes peeled on the documentation portal and on our blog for news about next releases. And of course, there's up on the blog site as well, there is links from the release article to further information on our roadmap if you're curious and you want to take a look at other things that we're working on and what's going to be coming next. So thanks for your time, and thanks for checking in what we're up to, and see you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.